What's going on, everybody? Liam O'Reilly, Vermont economic realtor. Hope you're doing well. Have an article to share with you folks out of Fortune talking about home builders and the success that they've been having recently. I think it's very interesting and indicative of what's going on in the rest of the market. There's a few different things that we're going to touch on, but the main theme here is what we've been talking about for months now, really since I started this channel, is that inventory is the issue. And I made a video a few months ago that back in 2019, I got an article from VRA or I forget what it was, some realtor magazine talking about how there's not enough homes in the market for everybody, and that was back in 2019 before the craziness of the what's known as the COVID market now started. So let's get right into it. Let's see what's going on with home builders. I know there was a lot of negative news, but it seems like they bounced back. So before we get into it, just wanted to look at the mortgage rates right now. If you have been following my videos for any time at all, you'll know that this is a pretty good mortgage rate for what we've been seeing recently. 5.875% according to NEFQ. That's probably the best rate that you can get if you have the best credit. Are highly qualified. You'll be able to qualify for that 5.875 rate, but down significantly from the 675 where we were at before. So getting into the story that I mentioned at the beginning here, home builder stocks are trying to tell us something about the U.S. housing market. I'm going to highlight a few key parts of this market or of this article, but essentially what they're talking about, it all has to do with supply. There's not enough supply on the market, and the home builders are able to bring the supply that's needed. So we talk out here. Not only does the existing slash resale market have little inventory available for sale, it's also been stickier on the price side, with many sellers refusing to budge. I thought this portion of the article was very interesting. Now, this isn't something that we've seen so much here in Vermont, where builders are builders haven't been cutting their prices here in Vermont, but I've seen headlines in other cities and other states that builders are offering incentives, offering mortgage buydowns, cutting their prices, where they have some room to budge on their top line, where they can adjust and they can lower their prices and offer incentives for buyers to come, where sellers, people looking to sell their home, they're looking to get top dollar. This is probably the only home they have. Maybe they have a couple others, but they are not, they do not want to mess with their top line, and they want to get top dollar because that's what their neighbors got. Where home builders are more willing to be flexible, and we saw that a lot in the fall. And so I think that was part of the reason that kept some of the demand for home builders active throughout the year. But now, as we look here, we'll look at the stock prices here, and so that's what they talk about here, right? Builders' profit margins allow them to do things, offer discounts. So they talk more about that. And then we look at the stock prices of what's going on. So look at how low the builders' prices were in January 2022. Right around their, probably, let's see, when was this? June 2020 levels. Maybe they were a little higher than that, but clearly trending down. And there was a lot of headlines about that. There was a lot of people talking about how this is a repeat of 2008. People are overbuilding. Um, you know, I personally don't see that happening. And this article mentions it. I'll see if I can find it. If not, I'm going to. Um, all right, yeah, here we go. Builders. Oh, I'll leave it in the description. You can read the specifics about it. But basically, the back in 2008, there were a ton of builders that were building all the time because demand was so high. Now demand has been crazy high, and there's a lot of inventory, but there's not a lot of inventory, but there's been a lot of building going on over the past few years. But overall, building is down over the past decade than compared to the decade before. So we've underbuilt for so long that even if builders skyrocket and we bring a ton of inventory, a ton of new construction to the market, we're not at the inventory levels that we were in 2008 to see the similar story of builders not being able to sell their home and neighborhoods being abandoned. And I mean, that's really what the story's telling. That's not something that I can speak to from personal experience here in Vermont. We don't have these national builders here in Vermont like you do in other major metro areas. Here in Vermont, it's local companies who are relatively big and are doing their job to bring new supply to the market and are quality builders, but it's not the same as some of these larger cities and the publicly traded companies that they're talking about in this article. Um, One last thing I wanted to mention as we're talking about inventory here, when I'm looking for videos to make, I often come to Google and just Google housing market, and I don't know if you can see that or if it's cut off. Yeah, it's cut off from my head, but here I Googled housing market and just look at the headlines that are all talking about inventory. Bay Area housing market slow starts 2023, historically low inventory. Housing market correction losing steam. Again, talking about changes in the housing market. Housing market tracker, still no spring inventory. Home sellers go on strike. You know, there's just so many stories across the country about low inventory, and I know that's the case here in Vermont. Um, there's hardly any homes in the market. It's the spring season, and more listings are coming, but listings in general are still competitive. I mean, almost every buyer that I'm working with right now is, you know, has found themselves in a competitive situation when they've submitted an offer. If the home's not great, if the home needs some updating or it has some issues with it, it might sit on the market for a little while. It might not be that competitive, but a home that's reasonably priced, that's priced appropriately, that's in good condition, everyone's going to see that and everyone's jumping on it. So, things are very competitive. I've heard stories of offers well above 10 offers this past weekend as buyers flush into the market as mortgage rates come down a little bit and as sellers don't have anywhere to go, or sellers, the move up buyer isn't there. People moving out of their 2 to 3% mortgage and jumping into a 6% mortgage, or I guess slightly under 6 now. It's just not happening. So a little bit more of a market update. And anyway, Liam O'Reilly, Vermont Economic Realtor. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think about the builders. Let me know what you think. Is this indicative that things are starting to turn? I'm hesitant to say that things are going to completely explode like they were. I mean, they're certainly very competitive here in Vermont, and the affordability is very low with these higher interest rates, and there's a ton of buyers for the supply that we have out there. I'm not sure what is going to happen with interest rates in the future, and I'm not really covering interest rates in this video, but I did some research on that earlier today, and a lot of the experts are talking about the volatility in the bond market, the volatility in the mortgage market. There's some uncertainty as to where rates could go, what the Federal Reserve could do. I mean, we had the banking issues a few weeks ago, but now things have kind of smoothed out. It's pretty calm, and so we'll see what happens in the future. If it stays calm, there's a higher chance of rates going higher and things going up. So. Anyway, Liam O'Reilly, Vermont Economic Realtor. All my contact information is in the description. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this video. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Reach out to me directly if you're looking to buy or sell a home here in Vermont. And I'll see you in the next video.